So what is the measure of the mystery angle, and how do you know? So to solve this, some of you are looking at me like, I have no idea how I would solve this, or you'd reach for your protractor, right? You don't need a protractor. What do you know about straight lines? What do you know about a straight line? Cameron, what do you know? What do they equal? They equal 180 degrees. If I know that this straight line is 180 degrees, and 40 of that is being used, how can I solve for this mystery angle? John? I take 180 minus 40, and I come up with 140, which would be the angle measure. Simple enough? I take the information that I know about the line, I subtract the given information, and I solve the question. Much simpler than taking out a template, right, and actually measuring. Carson, put your pencil down. Kyle.
And the other way is if it's enough to use, it's more than 90. It's less than 90.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Okay. So we are going to talk about two different types of angles. The first angle that we're going to talk about is an adjacent angle. And I want you to think of an adjacent angle as your best friend, or your blankie that you sleep with every night, or your stuffed animal that you cuddle, or an animal at your house that follows you around from place to place to place, or just something. Have you ever heard the expression attached to your hip? Have you ever heard somebody say that? It means that like something that's always with you, a friend or an object that's always with you, okay? And maybe not here at school or whatever, but just think of something that is always with you. Okay, my puppy follows me around my house. It doesn't matter where I'm at, he's under my feet. When I'm working out, he's standing over the top of me. When I'm in the bathroom, he's waiting at the door. It doesn't matter where I'm at, he's always with me. Think of an adjacent angle as that thing that's always with you. Angles that are next to each other and have a common side. So what that means is these two angles are right next to each other and they share this line. Okay? These two are right next to each other and they share this line. These two are right next to each other and they share this line. Does that make sense to everybody? So adjacent meaning best buds, connected, okay? The other type of angle that we're going to talk about is called a vertical angle. And when you think of vertical, I want you to think of how high you can jump, right? Your vertical is how high you can jump. So vertical meaning up and down. So vertical angles are when two lines intersect. What does intersect mean? What does intersect mean, Peyton? Cross, right? When two lines cross, the measures of the angles opposite are equal. So vertical angles mean that this angle and this angle, they're opposite of each other, or across from each other, have the exact same angle measure. If this one was 120, this one would be 120. If this one was 40, this one would be 40. Does that make sense? Okay, so the last thing that we're going to talk about are opposite angles. When two lines intersect, the measure of the angles opposite are equal. It means the same thing. Vertical and opposite angles are the same type of angle. Okay, they just have two different names. You might see it one time talked about as vertical, and the next question might call it opposite. They mean the same thing. Okay? So, the next thing we're going to talk about is naming an angle. You're going to have two lines that cross on your quiz tomorrow. And it's going to say label. Okay? When you label, your first thing that you need to do is draw a dot on each one of the lines and in the center. Okay? So you should have 5. If there was another line here, you draw one here and here too. Does that make sense?
Except you forgot the arrows.
No, I didn't. So, but that line won't be there. You'll just have 2 crossing, okay? Once you have drawn the dots, what you're going to do next is label them with letters of your choice, okay? Let's say I wanted to do Sophia. So S-O-F-I-A. All the points are labeled, and I don't have a double label. Does that make sense? I'm not using the same letter twice. So if your letter has or your name has 2 letters in it, but it's the same, like 2 A's or 2 E's, you can't use that letter twice. Does that make sense? But you could name it whatever you want. Like if I was going to do Mr. Mills, I could do M-I-L. I'd have to skip the other L, S, and maybe just do a C for Chase. Okay, you just can't duplicate a letter. All right? So, look at page 73. It says, angles that are next to each other are called adjacent angles. Underline that. Angles that are next to each other are called adjacent angles. Roman, underline that. Angles that are next to each other are called adjacent angles. These are the BFF angles. Okay? Those are the angles that are always touching. They always share a common side, and they always want to be near one another. Okay? Adjacent angles have the same vertex and a common side. What is the vertex again?
The corner.
The point, like the center point where they connect, right? Okay? When two lines intersect, cross, 4 angles are formed, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? The angles opposite each other are called either a vertical angle or an opposite angle. They mean the same thing. Okay, so number 1 says angles ABD, so ABD, and angle CBE are vertical. They're across from each other, right? Let's list another pair of vertical. So if you're looking at your picture, we've already used the 2 on the side. What angles do we have to use? What's one of them? Caitlin, give me one.
ABC.
If I use A, B, C, so I'm going to use the angle symbol. It looks like a greater than symbol. A, B, C. What is ABC's partner? Hudson? DBE. Angle DBE. So this is its partner. They're opposite or vertical from each other, right? Yep.
Could you also make it go the other way? Like go E.
Yes. So his question is, could I call it EBD? Yes, absolutely you could. Okay, the next question says angles ABC. So I'm going to erase and give you a fresh slate here. So ABC and CBE are BFF adjacent angles. What is another set of adjacent angles? What's another set? Sophia, give me one.
ABD.
So she's doing, don't do a straight angle. That makes things complicated. I like your thought process, but it makes things a little tricky. Renee. If we do A, B, D, okay, so angle A, B, D, and ABD has 2 options for best friends. What's it going to pick, Grace L? So which angle, which direction are you going to go to choose its best friend? You can go up or down. C, B, E. That would be a vertical angle, so that'd be right across from it. I want the one that's touching. They share that side. A, so she chose A, B, C. That works. Are there lots of different ways to do this?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's just one example. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the 2 lines at the right intersect to form 4 angles, right? We see 1, 2, 3, 4. One angle has been measured. Use your full circle protractor. Meh, those are trash. We don't need a tool to measure these. What we learned about vertical and opposite angles, if we know what one is, the other one is the same, right? So if this angle is 60, this angle is 60. They twin each other. If I know this is 60, can I solve for this one? Yeah, we did that. That was the first question we did to warm up. How do we solve it? Breathe.
You know a straight line is 180, so you just do 180 minus 60.
Perfect. I know that this straight line is worth 180 degrees. I subtract amount known, and I would get 120. So I know that this would equal 120. And what I know about vertical and opposite angles, if this is 120, this is 120. Caitlin.
I still did it because I knew 60, the angle looks half of the bigger one, the 120 one. And so I knew that 60 plus 60 would be a big one.
Okay. My only thing about guessing and kind of eyeballing things is it has to equal 180 or be marked wrong on a quiz or test. So make sure that you check doing it this way. I like that you got that was kind of an estimate. That's a great resource so you kind of have an idea of what it should be. That's great. Okay? The next thing that we're going to do is it says on a blank sheet of paper. We're not going to get a blank sheet of paper. We're going to do it right here. It says 2 lines intersect. So I just want you to draw kind of an X. Okay? This is going to be just like your quiz tomorrow. So it's going to give you a pair of lines like that. And then it's going to tell you to label them. Okay? And remember, you have to label each line gets a point. So I draw my points in. And then you choose the letters to label them. Okay? So maybe I do, I don't know,
Rich.
I-S-A-B-E. I'm missing an L. So I chose my 5 letters. I labeled. Done. Right? Okay? And let's say that this is 80. The vertical angle to this would be what? What's the vertical or opposite angle to this to ISE? What's the vertical or opposite? A what? ASB is its opposite or vertical, and its measure would have to be 80. Okay? And if I know that this is 80, what does ISA have to be? Lacey? 100. Why 100, Lacey? So the line is 180. We already used 80 of it. I'd have 100 left over. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Simple, right?
Yeah, kind of. Simple.
The thing that you need to remember for your homework and for your quiz tomorrow, adjacent are best friends. Okay, put this in your brain. Adjacent touch, they're best friends. Opposite and vertical, across from each other, okay?